Installing a cord drop from a concrete ceiling, passing through a suspended ceiling to an outlet 7 feet above the floor requires careful planning and adherence to electrical codes to ensure a legal and safe installation. The following steps outline the process. Firstly, you must adhere to the National Electrical Code, or NEC, and all local electrical codes that are in effect in Salt Lake City, Utah. Always use materials and methods that are approved for the intended use and application. Check with your local municipality to find out if a permit is required for this type of electrical work. Now let's discuss the installation steps. 1. Plan the route. Begin by determining the precise locations for the cord drop and the outlet. Carefully mark the path the cord will take as it passes through both the suspended ceiling and the concrete ceiling. 2. Install a junction box in the suspended ceiling. Create a hole in the ceiling tile that is appropriately sized for the junction box you will be using. Install an approved electrical junction box with a cover. Secure the junction box firmly to the ceiling grid of the suspended ceiling to provide a stable and safe mounting point. 3. Run the cord drop. Use an approved cord drop kit, which should include the cord itself, a ceiling canopy, and all necessary fittings. Pass the cord carefully through the hole you created in the ceiling tile. Connect the cord to the junction box, making sure all connections are secure and meet electrical code requirements. Install the ceiling canopy over the hole in the ceiling tile, securing it properly to the ceiling grid to conceal the opening and provide additional support to the cord drop. 4. Install a bracket in the concrete ceiling. Precisely mark the location where the outlet will be installed on the concrete ceiling. Install an approved bracket that is designed to support the outlet box securely. Use appropriate fasteners suitable for concrete to ensure a strong and lasting hold. 5. Install the outlet box and outlet. Secure the outlet box to the bracket that you've installed on the concrete ceiling. Make sure it is firmly attached and properly aligned. Install an approved electrical outlet into the outlet box. Choose an outlet that meets the specific voltage and amperage requirements of the devices it will be powering. 6. Connect the electrical wiring. Carefully connect the cord drop wires to the corresponding terminals on the outlet using approved electrical connectors. Ensure all connections are tight and properly insulated to prevent any electrical hazards. Secure all wiring inside both the junction box and the outlet box to prevent loose wires and potential short circuits. 7. Test the installation. Before finalizing the installation, turn on the power and carefully test the functionality of the cord drop and the outlet. Use a voltage tester to verify that the outlet is receiving the correct voltage. Ensure that any devices plugged into the outlet operate correctly. 8. Finalize the installation. Install the covers for both the junction box and the outlet box. Ensure that these covers are securely attached to protect the wiring and prevent accidental contact. Clean up the work area thoroughly, removing any scrap materials, tools, and debris. Dispose of all waste materials properly, following any local regulations for disposal of electrical materials. Here are some additional safety measures to consider. Always use a ladder for safety when working on the suspended ceiling or the concrete ceiling. Ensure the ladder is stable and positioned on a level surface. Wear appropriate safety gear at all times, including gloves and eye protection, to prevent electrical shock and injury. Never overload the cord drop or outlet with more devices than it is designed to handle. This can cause overheating and potentially lead to a fire hazard. Inspect the installation regularly for any signs of wear, damage, or loose connections. Have the installation serviced by a qualified electrician as needed to ensure it remains safe and compliant with electrical codes. Now let's delve into some more specific technical details. When selecting the cord for the cord drop, it is crucial to choose a cord that is rated for the appropriate voltage and amperage. The cord should also be suitable for the environment in which it will be used, such as being resistant to moisture or abrasion if necessary. Common types of cords used for cord drops include SU, SU, and similar flexible cords. Ensure that the cord is long enough to reach from the junction box in the suspended ceiling to the outlet in the concrete ceiling without being stretched or strained. When installing the junction box, it is essential to use a box that is listed and labeled for the intended use. The junction box should be made of a durable material such as metal or non-metallic material, and it should provide adequate protection for the electrical connections inside. The size of the junction box should be appropriate for the number of wires and connections that will be made inside it. Ensure that the junction box is securely mounted to the ceiling grid using appropriate hardware. When making electrical connections inside the junction box and outlet box, it is crucial to use approved electrical connectors such as wire nuts or terminal blocks. These connectors should be sized appropriately for the gauge of the wires being connected. Ensure that all connections are tight and secure to prevent loose wires and potential short circuits. Wrap all connections with electrical tape to provide additional insulation and protection. When installing the outlet, it is important to choose an outlet that is rated for the appropriate voltage and amperage. The outlet should also be suitable for the type of devices that will be plugged into it. Common types of outlets include 15 amp and 28 amp receptacles. Ensure that the outlet is properly grounded to provide protection against electrical shock. When running the cord through the suspended ceiling, it is important to protect the cord from damage. Use a bushing or grommet where the cord passes through the ceiling tile to prevent the cord from being abraded or cut. Support the cord along its length to prevent it from sagging or putting strain on the connections. When installing the bracket in the concrete ceiling, it is important to use appropriate fasteners to ensure a secure and lasting hold. Use concrete screws, anchors, or other fasteners that are specifically designed for use in concrete. Drill pilot holes before installing the fasteners to prevent the concrete from cracking. Ensure that the bracket is level and properly aligned before tightening the fasteners. When testing the installation, use a voltage tester to verify that the outlet is receiving the correct voltage. The voltage should be within the acceptable range for the devices that will be plugged into the outlet. Use a circuit tester to verify that the outlet is properly grounded. The circuit tester should indicate that the ground connection is good. Plug a test device into the outlet to ensure that it operates correctly. If any problems are detected, such as incorrect voltage, poor grounding, or malfunctioning devices, troubleshoot the installation and correct any issues before finalizing the installation. Now let's consider some specific requirements from the National Electrical Code, or NEC, that may apply to this type of installation. NEC Section 400.8 addresses uses not permitted for flexible cords and cables. It states that flexible cords and cables shall not be used as a substitute for the fixed wiring of a structure, where run through holes in walls, structural ceilings, suspended ceilings, drop ceilings, or floors, where run through doorways, windows, or similar openings, where attached to building surfaces, or were concealed behind building walls, structural ceilings, suspended ceilings, or floors. In this case, the cord drop is being run through a suspended ceiling, so it is important to ensure that the installation meets the requirements of the NEC. One way to comply with the NEC is to use a cord drop kit that is specifically designed for this type of application. These kits typically include a cord, ceiling canopy, and fittings that are all listed and labeled for use in suspended ceilings. The kit may also include instructions for proper installation that comply with the NEC. Another way to comply with the NEC is to install the cord drop in a raceway or conduit. A raceway is an enclosed channel that is designed to hold wires and cables. Common types of raceways include metal conduit, non-metallic conduit, and cable trays. By installing the cord drop in a raceway, you can protect the cord from damage and ensure that it is properly supported. NEC Section 314.23 addresses the support of outlet boxes. It states that outlet boxes shall be securely fastened in place. When an outlet box is supported from a suspended ceiling, it shall be supported by one of the following means. Firstly, by a metal or non-metallic raceway securely attached to the ceiling framing member. Secondly, by a listed outlet box assembly designed for support from the suspended ceiling. Or thirdly, by independent support wires attached to the ceiling framing members and to the outlet box. In this case, the outlet box is being supported from the suspended ceiling, so it is important to ensure that it is supported by one of these means. When selecting the size of the conductors for the cord drop, it is important to consider the ampacity of the conductors. The ampacity is the maximum amount of current that a conductor can carry without overheating. The ampacity of a conductor is determined by its size, material, and insulation type. NEC Table 310.15b16 provides ampacity ratings for various types of conductors. When selecting the size of the overcurrent protection device for the core drop, such as a circuit breaker or fuse, it is important to consider the ampacity of the conductors. The overcurrent protection device should be sized to protect the conductors from overcurrent. The overcurrent protection device should not be larger than the ampacity of the conductors. NEC Section 240.4 addresses the protection of conductors against overcurrent. It states that conductors shall be protected against overcurrent in accordance with their ampacities. It is also important to consider the voltage drop in the core drop. Voltage drop is the decrease in voltage that occurs as current flows through a conductor. Excessive voltage drop can cause equipment to malfunction. The amount of voltage drop depends on the length of the conductor, the amount of current flowing through the conductor, and the resistance of the conductor. NEC Section 210.19a on FPN number 4 recommends that the voltage drop on the branch circuit should not exceed 3% at the furthest outlet. In summary, installing a core drop from a concrete ceiling passing through a suspended ceiling to an outlet requires careful planning and adherence to electrical codes. By following the steps outlined above and considering the specific requirements of the NEC, you can ensure a legal and safe installation. Remember to always consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns about electrical work. They can provide valuable guidance and ensure that the installation meets all applicable codes and regulations. Pay special attention to local codes, as they may have specific requirements that differ from the NEC. And remember, safety is paramount when working with electricity. Always disconnect the power before working on any electrical circuits, and take all necessary precautions to prevent electrical shock. Regular inspections and maintenance are essential to ensure the continued safety and reliability of the core drop installation. By being diligent and thorough, you can create a safe and functional electrical system that meets your needs. Consider consulting with a licensed structural engineer to ensure that the concrete ceiling and suspended ceiling can handle the weight of the new electrical installation. A professional engineer can assess the load-bearing capacity of the structures and recommend appropriate support measures if needed. In addition to the technical aspects of the installation, it's important to consider the aesthetic impact of the core drop. Choose materials and finishes that blend in with the surrounding environment and create a clean, professional look. Consider using cable management solutions to conceal the cord and minimize its visual impact. By paying attention to both the technical and aesthetic details, you can create a core drop installation that is both functional and visually appealing. If the core drop is being installed in a commercial or industrial setting, it's important to comply with all applicable safety regulations and standards. This may include providing adequate lighting, signage, and emergency shut-off devices. Ensure that the installation is inspected and approved by a qualified safety professional before it is put into service. By following these guidelines, you can create a safe and compliant core drop installation that meets the needs of your business. The selection of appropriate hardware and materials is crucial for the long-term reliability and safety of the core drop installation. Use high-quality components that are designed for the specific application and environment. Avoid using cheap or substandard materials, as they may fail prematurely and create a safety hazard. Consider using corrosion-resistant materials if the core drop is being installed in a damp or corrosive environment. By investing in quality hardware and materials, you can ensure that the core drop installation will provide years of reliable service. Proper grounding is essential for preventing electrical shock and ensuring the safety of the core drop installation. Make sure that all metal parts of the installation, including the junction box, outlet box, and conduit, are properly grounded to a common grounding point. Use a ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, outlet to provide additional protection against electrical shock. Test the grounding system regularly to ensure that it is functioning properly. By following these guidelines, you can create a safe and properly grounded core drop installation. If the cord drop is being installed in a location where it may be subject to physical damage, it's important to protect it from impact and abrasion. Use conduit or other protective measures to shield the cord from potential hazards. Consider using a flexible cord that is designed to withstand repeated bending and flexing. Inspect the cord regularly for any signs of damage and replace it if necessary. By taking these precautions, you can extend the life of the cord drop and prevent potential safety hazards. The labeling of electrical components is essential for identifying circuits and preventing confusion. Label all junction boxes, outlet boxes, and circuit breakers with clear and concise descriptions. Use permanent markers or label makers to create durable and legible labels. Update the labels whenever changes are made to the electrical system. By following these labeling guidelines, you can create a well-organized and easily understandable electrical system. The documentation of electrical work is essential for maintaining accurate records and facilitating future maintenance. Keep detailed records of all electrical work, including wiring diagrams, equipment specifications, and inspection reports. Store the documentation in a safe and accessible location. Update the documentation whenever changes are made to the electrical system. By following these documentation guidelines, you can create a valuable resource for future reference. Consider adding surge protection to the cord drop installation to protect sensitive electronic equipment from voltage spikes. Surge protectors can be installed at the outlet or at the circuit breaker panel. Choose surge protectors that are rated for the appropriate voltage and current. Test the surge protectors regularly to ensure that they are functioning properly. By adding surge protection, you can safeguard your valuable electronic equipment from damage caused by power surges. If the cord drop is being installed in a location where it may be exposed to flammable materials, it's important to take precautions to prevent fires. Use non-flammable wiring and conduit. Install fire-rated junction boxes and outlet boxes. Provide adequate ventilation to prevent overheating. Install smoke detectors in the area to provide early warning of a fire. By following these fire safety guidelines, you can minimize the risk of fire in the cord drop installation. If you are not comfortable performing electrical work yourself, it's always best to hire a qualified electrician. A licensed electrician has the training and experience to perform electrical work safely and in accordance with all applicable codes and regulations. Hiring a professional electrician can give you peace of mind knowing that the job is done right. When working with electricity, always follow these safety tips. Firstly, always disconnect the power before working on any electrical circuits. Secondly, never work on electrical circuits while standing in water or on a wet surface. Thirdly, always use insulated tools when working with electricity. Fourthly, never overload electrical circuits. Fifthly, inspect electrical cords and plugs regularly for damage. Sixthly, replace damaged cords and plugs immediately. Seventhly, never run electrical cords under rugs or carpets. Eighthly, keep electrical appliances away from water. Ninthly, install ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, in wet locations. And tenthly, test GFCIs regularly. By following these safety tips, you can protect yourself from electrical shock and prevent electrical fires.